Today, Precarious plays
Metroid Prime.
Yeah?
I've got a cold and it's a few days before Christmas.
Oh.
It's the worst. Tell me a story.
Well,
Maybe something about, I don't know, like the Museum of Modern Art and the preservation of video games specifically, and no other story will do. My Christmas happiness is riding on this. Don't give me any bullshit.
So, once upon a time, there was a friend to all video gamers in the whole world who decided that it was worth preserving video games in the Metropolitan Museum of Art's design collection, if I'm remembering all of that correctly, because I'm making this up because it's a story, but I'm not making it up and it's real.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop you right there for a second. It seems very unlikely that someone that would have an interest in video games would be in a position of authority in the Museum of Modern Arts.
She doesn't... I don't know if she specifically has an interest in video games, like, the same way that quote-unquote gamers have an interest in video games, but I think she, like... No, I know that she values them as a piece of design work and experience. They're interesting and complex and valuable as information about humanity.
That's an interesting character that you just concocted from the depths of your mind.
Yes, because this person isn't real and definitely doesn't have a name or a TED Talk that I watched.
Yeah, I'd be really disappointed if that were the case.
Oh. Well, nobody tell him till after Christmas. I feel like January is reserved for, like, good wishes and bad news.
You didn't finish your story.
Oh, well, lots of people hated it because anytime you do anything interesting, people hate it.
Uh-huh.
And there's an awesome collection of video games at the MoMA. I don't know if they have them on display, but it's really cool. They're doing something that I didn't realize was part of the job of people who acquire things in a collection. I don't know, I just didn't...
Job is not a people, he's a hut.
Oh boy, I think your fever is getting a little more than it needs to be.
You can't tell me I have a fever just because there's lava on the screen. That's bullshit. Keep the story going or I'm leaving.
I found out something interesting.
Okay.
Apparently... Apparently you can boil to death in lava. No, apparently... When the MoMA, or a large organization like it, acquires something to their collection, even when it's not on display, it's part of their responsibility to curate it and keep it available to the public. It becomes like an important preserved resource.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually went, like, they went through a lot to decide what video games were in the collection that they decided to put in the Met. And they're also preserving them on a, like, code level. Like, they're trying to get the code from a lot of these, and if they didn't manage to get the code, like the original code from these games that was used to build them, they have gotten into, like, certain, I'm guessing, contracts. She was using the word relationships. So they've gotten into relationships with the companies that have created these video games so that they can eventually get the code when it is, like, no longer, like, hyper-managed, so that they can preserve it as it is for the future to look back on, which I think is just so cool, because I was talking about that not that long ago. And they made, like, all kinds of interesting decisions about how they decided to display them and why different ones were included in the collection. And I love it when people give video games the attention and respect that they deserve by considering them and then making a decision, like a value judgment, based on, like, thorough consideration. I feel like video games deserve that type of respect. Know what I'm saying, Sniffles?
That was a really good story. I feel a lot better.
You don't sound good.
You're right. I don't think that punchline really stuck the landing.
No.
Let me try again. Wow, I really feel a lot better after that oddly specific story.
Are you healed?
I am very healed.
I wish that I remembered her name. Maybe Bale can look her up.
Bale has internet, so yeah.
Yeah. Bale and internet are good friends. But yeah, it was such a nice thing to see and hear about. I'm like, yes, thank goodness someone is taking this seriously. We are all very serious about this.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Now, I know I have an idea about the answer, but I'm going to ask it for the benefit of conversation. Mm-hmm. The benefit of the audience, I guess.
Yeah.
And I know you're supposed to grapple hook through here. You're not supposed to be so foolhardy, but I've got places to be.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if I'm going in the right direction, which is why I'm trying to really rush, you know? Whenever you have something that is capable of being mass-produced. Mm-hmm. So, code or print.
Yes.
To a lesser extent, a print. I guess a more easily repeated piece would be something that...
Campbell's soup.
Yeah, I was thinking Warhol pieces specifically, but again, spoilers. I have an idea of what the correct answer is, but what do you do whenever you are trying to curate something that isn't rare, when it's not the Mona Lisa, whenever it's not an oil painting that took one person dozens or hundreds of hours to complete?
Yeah, when it's not when the item itself isn't
hand-painted,
super precious.
Yeah, some crazy hand-painted pointillism or rare artifact.
I think that it takes a lot of well-read and thoughtful people a lot of time to decide on what to do about that. But I think that the first thing they can do is preserve it, and then the second thing is providing a context to take it out of the noise of the everyday. I think that that's a big deal, because everybody can go get a Campbell's soup can and look at the legacy of that artist, right?
Yeah.
I mean, friggin' Jessica Hish, I can't remember how she pronounces it, but she is a really great type designer. She does hand lettering, and her work is gorgeous, and I saw her stuff on a package of Splenda the other day, you know? So it's up to, like, people and organizations who find value in work like that that's, like, utterly reproducible, and it's just the idea of it that is interesting, have to find some way to preserve it, because things like that get warped over time, and they have to find some way to put it in a context that makes people look twice. I think that that's really the solution, or part of it anyways. I'm sure people get paid a great deal of money to sit around and talk about this and, like, really consider for future generations.
Would you believe me if I told you that I think that it was... I'm not going to be gentle. I'm going to, for the purposes of having a quick discussion, I'm going to be intentionally inflammatory. What would you do or what would you think if I were to tell you that I think that it's stupid and dumb and a waste of time to put something like Pac-Man in a museum?
I would silently fume for a long time and come up with a lot of arguments against that, and then never tell you.
Oh.
That personally?
Yeah.
And I would also think less of you, and then...
But never tell me?
Yeah.
That's what you would do?
Yes.
What if I made you wait 24 hours, but then gave you a reason for it?
It would have to be a good reason.
Let's find out. Ha-ha!
Precarious is playing with my feelings.